I started my period earlier today. All week I've felt an urge to just cry, because that tends to be what helps me get my emotions out so I can feel them and deal with them and move on. And I just knew after work I had to just rush to the church and cry. Thankfully, we have a worship night tonight, so hoping to just get more out there and just, but this feeling right now is just, it's unlike anything I've ever experienced. And this feeling comes in waves. And you just never know when it's gonna hit you, because there truly is so many unknowns in this journey. And there's so many ups and downs. Just so many things that you don't realize are impacted by infertility. Like my daily thought life. I work with kids. I see families all the time. My friends have kids. It's you can't escape it. You can't just run from the reality that this is such a strong desire and longing in my heart. And it's not something I can just put on the back burner or ignore, because we're talking about parenthood. We're talking about having a child. Like I said, there's so many things on the daily that just remind me of the fact that I'm going through this. I can't explain it. It's such a crazy, crazy feeling and a crazy journey, and I just wouldn't wish it on anybody. And it's just experiencing so many emotions at once. Clearly, I'm experiencing some sadness and some deep pain, some deep disappointment that we've gone through a whole another month of trying and it not working. Just add another month to the 2 years that we've been going at this. And then on top of that, it's I have to wait a whole nother month to have a whole nother cycle and start over and go through this again. And then so the waiting is just hard and frustrating. There's another layer of disappointing my husband, even though I know that's definitely not the case, but it's he's in this with me. He's affected too. So I have to deliver the bad news yet again. With every period, not every period, because there's definitely been some months where God has given me joy when my period comes, and I don't feel like I have to cry it out. And honestly, it's been a few months since I've had a moment like this, so I guess that's a good thing, but here we are. Ew, gross. It sucks. Just another month that goes by. Another reminder that now is not the time, and it's okay, when? And I know it's all gonna make sense. And that's another frustrating thing too, is I'm clearly feeling hurt right now. And so it's I feel like my body wants to automatically just jump to the negative and feed this pain so I can really just feel it all over. But the thoughts that are coming to mind are just lies. And it doesn't even feel natural for me to want to think negative during this time, even though everything in me is you're sad, Janae, feel sad, think sad things. But it's the craziest thing to feel sadness and also feel hope at the same time. I wish you could just be in my brain right now, because it's a tornado. I don't know how to explain it. It's like a fog and a tornado at the same time. And I can't even sulk in the thoughts of like, well, when is it my time, God? And this isn't fair, and why me? Because that's just not my spirit. God has done way too much in my life for me to actually question him. Honestly, part of me is like even frustrated with that, like frustrated with my own emotions. Like, get angry, get mad at God. Like, I feel like that would be completely valid. And God knows my heart, and he can handle my anger. He can handle all my emotions. And he's been so faithful to me in the past. Why would I leave him now? Like, he doesn't give up on me. I'm not giving up on him. I'm going to trust his promises and trust his word and hold on to that because I have nothing else. I seriously don't know how people go through this without something to cling to, like a foundation to stand on, because clearly this is instability. I can't live in this emotion and this headspace constantly. Like, so what encourages me to get back up again and try again? This is such a lonely and confusing and scary road and just a long journey. It's so lonely. I just want someone, well, I don't, but I want someone to be in my shoes so I can just have someone look at me and say, I get it. But everyone's journey is so different that it's not even when you do find someone who like has the same timeline or the same test results as you, it's like, but you're not in my situation. Nobody gets. And I'm thankful for friends who will let me vent, and I feel like a broken record, and I feel like I talk their ear off, because talking about it just helps me so much. And it is hard finding that balance of like, I wish I could sometimes just break down, and I wanted so bad to start crying at the preschool today. Like, but you gotta put a smile on, like, that's just is what it is. It's not faking it or trying to hide. It's just like, what am I gonna do? I'm gonna cry and not take care of these kids? Like, they need me, so I gotta hold it together. Or like when I'm at church or when I'm hanging out with friends, like, cool, like, vent if you want to vent, and like, I'm not ashamed to be sad with my friends, but okay, like, pick yourself up and like go have fun, like go be there for your friend who might need you. I don't want to be that girl that's like always talking about my infertility, but how can I not? It's literally my life right now. Like, you can't just turn it off. Like, you literally can't. I can't just give up on all my daily responsibilities just because I'm sad. Just gotta keep chugging along. I'm thankful for when God does provide those distractions and I can, put it aside for a little bit and be present. God has given me an incredible community and support system and family and husband, and I'm so thankful because that's definitely helped make these tough days a little easier. When I can just cry with people and not feel judged, but it's still hard. Like, the reality is that I'm still not pregnant, so it's like, oh gosh. And it's the fact that I want something so bad. Like, I've never wanted something as much as I wanted to be a mom. So that just makes these emotions 10 times harder because it's such a big dream and it's such a fragile dream because it's so important to me. And thank God I have God. He knows me better than anyone, and he can just sit with me in this pain, and he understands, and I know I don't have to explain myself to him or have the right words to pray at this time. This is unlike anything I've ever experienced, and I know God is with me. All I knew to do is just run to the cross. Anyways, I don't even know what I'm saying anymore, but okay, whatever. I'm gonna go. So just jumping on here really quick because since our last
fertility appointment, which was a week ago. Today, actually, it's been a week. We're still processing, still praying for clarity and guidance, but it's definitely sinking in a little bit more. It's a little bit easier to swallow, and like it's becoming less overwhelming, and the cloud is being lifted. And more questions have come up since our appointment, and so they have a really easy texting line. Thank God, because I was able to text them with my questions and schedule a phone call, and we ended up being able to chat the next day. And so the lady I spoke to walked me through all the questions I had, and it seems like the IUI route isn't as like intimidating as I thought. I mean, IVF is its own beast. And so now that it's kind of back on the table per the second consultation, I've been looking more into it, and I was able to talk to the lady at that specific clinic and get their version of how they do things. And I'm like, oh, this seems super simple. Like, the version they recommended for me is the more natural route, since I am young and since I am healthy. So they basically said I would just be doing testing to look at when I'm ovulating and how my body is responding to my cycle naturally, and then they would just give me a trigger shot like right before they do the insemination. So I'm like, oh, it's literally one shot. So I'm like, that doesn't seem super hard on my body, like to kind of ease into this whole idea of getting treatments done. And so we might just try that, just to say we at least went the less invasive route and the cheaper route, and maybe it'll work. Like, I have a friend who it worked on the first try with, so you never know. The doctor did warn us that in an ideal situation, it has a 30% success rate at most. So there is that to consider. And I spent the whole weekend just really trying to relax and get rid of all this noise that's in my head. And so Alex and I spent Saturday reading about the women in the Bible that struggled with getting pregnant. And the common theme overall, which I've read and heard these stories before, so it was nothing new, but it was more just like confirmation, because now I'm like reading these stories with a new perspective. And so rereading these women's stories, I just felt like God was reiterating that like what all these women had in common was that they waited on the Lord. Like, you kind of have no choice, but you also do have a choice. Like, I could spend this waiting period trying to do things in my own strength and complaining and allowing the disappointment to get the best of me, but all these women didn't do that. Some women, they tried to go outside of God's plan, but at the end of the day, God still had the final say. And in one specific story, out of all those women, there was a verse that stood out to me, and it said, God closed her womb. Like, this whole time. Like, it's not, oh, are we just not having sex at the right time? Am I not taking the right prenatals? Like, is Alex doing the right things? Like, am I eating the right stuff? Which, yes, again, you want to be wise and do your due diligence. But it's like, no, I'm not getting pregnant because God closed my womb. Like, God doesn't want me to get pregnant right now. Like, it's just not gonna happen. It's only gonna happen when He allows it to. I don't need to stress about when it's gonna be my time, because God already knows. I just have to be okay with that, because His timing is gonna be worth it. It might seem like He doesn't hear my prayers or He's not answering me to the outside world, but to me, God has brought me through enough to where I know God's not ignoring me during this time. Silence is not a no from God. Silence is my chance to be still and wait on the Lord, like these women did. Even when I do have a child, because I'm confident that God will fulfill this desire, and when I do become a mom, like, my problems aren't gonna be solved. Like, life's not just gonna all of a sudden be perfect and I'm gonna have everything I need and I'm gonna be satisfied. Like, no, I'm still gonna be a human. I'm just gonna have another human to take care of. So I'm still gonna need God then, just as much as I need Him now. And so I'm just trying to get my heart and my mind in that right space, to where at the end of the day, Jesus is enough. And I should not want anything more than Him, because only He can truly satisfy, and only He can truly bring life, spiritually and physically. And so will I be okay if I never become a mom? Will I be okay if I can't have my own biological children and God is trying to prepare the way so we can adopt? Like, I've definitely been open to that. But of course, I feel like all girls like envision having their own child with the person they love, like creating life together. Of course I desire that. But God knows best. And my future kids, if you're watching this one day, look at everything your mother went through, okay? And I ain't losing hope, and I am definitely not giving up on my faith, so you shouldn't either. And hopefully this video can encourage anyone out there who is wanting to give up, or who is having a hard time finding the motivation, or having a hard time living another day and continuing in this journey of infertility. Like, don't give up. The end is near. The blessing is right around the corner. We just don't know what that distance is. So why give up now? Because today you are one day closer than you were yesterday. And God sees you, and God loves you, and He has an intentional plan for everyone, that He set out a purpose in your heart, and what He starts, He will complete. He has not given up on you, so don't give up on Him. And I'm saying all this to myself because I need to hear it all the time. But I guess I should start getting ready for work. I can't just blab on about this forever, which obviously I could. Okay, I'm gonna go. Bye!